Okay, I made this video originally for my niece. So this video was designed just trying to help my niece understand, a family member. It is not financial advice. As you go through this video, I'm not telling you what to do, what you should buy. You got to be a judge for yourself. You got to stand up and make that decision. So I'm not telling you to do anything. I was just trying to help my niece understand what little bit I know, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dumb grunt Marine. Sales guy, doesn't have any clue. I'm just learning just as well as everyone else, but I made this to try to help her and let her decide if she wanted to decide should she get into the community. So once again, not financial advice, but this is also this video I made because it's why I'm in. There's like 3 reasons now. There's a lot more reasons, but these 3 main reasons to me are huge. They just make it stronger, and why I've got pretty much almost all of my retirement that I can, everything in, and I'm going to keep going in because I believe in it. And this is, again, my opinion and why I chose it that I'm sharing with you. But just take a look and see. You be the judge of what you think. This is just data and information that I've seen and collected. Hopefully this helps folks, because that's all I really want to do. Don't want to tell you to buy anything, but hopefully it just helps you. All right, I'm going to get into the next part. No, that's not on recording. Don't tell anybody. But anyway, so basically, I know it's hard to understand. It was even hard to understand for me, but it's been going on for a long time. So these hedge funds, these funds out there that got people's retirement money, got all this money, they basically short the stock. Shorting means is they borrow it from other institutions, and then they pay them a small fee to have the share. Then they take the share and they sell it on the open market for the current go-on price, and then they collect those funds. And then the goal is as the price goes down, that's less money it costs them to buy the share back. Then they can turn around and give it back to its original owner. Sounds crazy, but that's how they do it. Well, unfortunately, they've been doing it for so long and trying to kill AMC and GME and put them out of business, because every time they borrow those shares and they put them in the market, the more people sell, the lower the price goes. The supply and demand, right? So these hedge funds get that money, they buy, or they get that shares, they borrow them, they're not theirs, they borrow them, they sell them in the market, drives the price down. Then they borrow more, they sell in the market, and it drives the price down. And the goal is to keep driving the price down ultimately until they can bankrupt the company. Because then if they can bankrupt the company, then they don't have to pay anything back. And then it's just pure profit. And this has been going on for a long, long time. Well, a bunch of people got smart. Regular Joes like us got smart out there and said, hey, wait a minute, this is a heavily shorted stock. There's tons of them. If we start buying them up, it forces them to buy them back. And then if they buy them back, it's called a short squeeze. It squeezes the price, because now they're forced to turn around and buy those shares back, because the higher the price goes, the more money they lose. And these hedge funds don't want to lose their money. So it's been a war and a battle. This has happened before, not with normal people like us. It was happened between large institutions. Large investors have done this to each other. VW, if you look it up, VW short squeeze, if you Google that, you'll see. And they fight each other back and forth. Well, finally, somebody's got to give in. The thing is we ain't giving in. The apes, what they calling it, the good people that bought in, we're not giving in. We were like 4, 5, 6 months into this, and it's just getting crazier. 3.2 million people are involved in it, or bought in and own at least one share or more. I know people that I know a guy who owns $2 million worth of shares I'm friends with. So there's a lot of people in on it. Eventually, they're going to have to buy these shares back. Well, to make things worse, this is going to sound really crazy to you, is they have what's called synthetic shares. That means that they made up shares that don't exist, like they created them. And then they put those on the market and they sell them, and it drives the price down, but they don't actually exist. So there's no determining proof yet, but some are saying that they've made, over the last couple years, like 3 billion fake shares, when there's only 450 million shares available that people can actually buy and own. And if that's the case, they're gonna have to buy all those back. Every last one of them, even though they don't exist. Well, if we all hold our shares and no one sells their shares to them, we just keep buying them up, because right now we own almost 90% of all shares. So people like you and me, we own 90% of most of those shares are in our pockets. We belong to us. Well, they're eventually, if they got to buy them all back, they're gonna have to pay whatever price we sell them for. So that's where you can't really put a price on it, because one person may say, well, shoot, it's up to $100. That's worth it to me. Another person may say, oh man, it's $200. I'm going to sell it out. A lot of us are like, nah, I ain't taking less than 1,000. And now people are like, you know what? We can take 100,000. Like if they really want those shares, somebody's going to have to get them to them, right? Somebody's got to sell it to them. Well, if there's 3 billion or 2 billion fake shares out there, multiply that by the time it says people, they're going to have to buy all that stuff back. And you're going to get into their insurance. I mean, you're talking trillions of dollars. And so everybody's like, screw it, keep buying them no matter what. And the thing is to me, the stock's worth more than what it is right now. It's only down because they did what they did to it and because of COVID. The movie theaters are coming back. They're not going bankrupt now. And so that's why people are like, it ain't going to work. So these shorts, these hedge funds are shorting it, trying to make money, and we're going to screw them. That's the idea. And then they're going to have to pay us. So yes, you're just going to have to buy it. If that's what you want to do, you're going to have to hold on to it and not let go of it until you hit a point where it's like, hey, it's worth it to me now. You know what I'm saying? But don't sell yourself short. I'm not. I'm going to ride this puppy as long as I can. Hopefully that helps you. I know it's not understanding stocks. It's complicated. But what? 3.2 million people? That's why I'm in too. And 30% of the people I know are all military. So I know those types of folks. We don't screw around. All right, hopefully this helps you. Personally in AMC as strong as I am is because after I've been in for a while, I've seen a lot of veterans in it, a lot of military folks. As you guys know, obviously with my name, the AMC Marine, I'm a former Marine. I was in the Marine Corps Sergeant. And so when I see other military folks, so I did this little poll that I ran, and it's still running right now. But currently, if you just take a look, I mean, this just tells me 63% of the folks so far are civilians, and then the other, 37% of them are veterans, active duty, or disabled vets like myself as a disabled vet. 37%, that's huge. So if there's 3.2 million people, if we use those numbers, you're gonna tell me that 37%, almost 40% of those folks are veterans. I gotta tell you, if you know a veteran, you have veterans in your family, we're not quitters, we're fighters. We fight hard, we fight strong, we fight long. Like, we don't give up. Once we dig into our hole in the ground, our foxhole, we're gonna fight it out. We were trained to do that. The United States spent millions and millions of dollars teaching us and training us to fight. Well, guess what? You got us on your side. So for me, that's huge. I know that I got 37% so far, it looks like, of my people that are in this, the apes that are in this, are true fighters, trained professional fighters that don't know how to give up. So, Semper Fi, hoorah, hoorah, hooah. I can't say all the rest, I'm a Marine, but all this stuff, hey, you got a lot of vets backing you. If that doesn't give you confidence, man, I tell you what. So that's one of the reasons I'm in right there. That's huge to see. This one going around, this is another survey that I did on there. The goal is to get up to 1,000 votes. Got up to 972, so almost 1,000. But look at this. It's just kind of a curiosity idea, but apes that own one share all the way up to roughly 500 shares, 35% of the people that took this vote. Those that own 500 to 1,000, 23%. Those that own 1,000 to 5,000, 32%. 32% own 1,000 to 5,000 shares. And then own 5,000 plus or more, 10%. So I just kind of base this 972, but I base it off 1,000. So if there's 3.2 million people, I'm gonna pause this. 35% own 1 to 500 shares. Now you base that on 1,000 folks. That's like a percentage pool. They do it with political polls, all kinds of polls, and it kind of gives them a general idea. And it's supposed to be pretty accurate with a 5% or 10% number variance, right? If you're numbers people. Well, 35% of people own 1 to 500 shares. If we've got 3.2 million people, let me see if this will work. Oh man, I gotta flip back and forth. I should have been better organized with this. Let's pull up the calculator. So if we got 3.2 million people, right? Times that by 32%, that's 1 million people. 1 million out of that 3.2 million are gonna own anywhere from 1 to 500 shares. So if 1 million people own one share, that's 1 million shares, right? But if they own 500 shares times 500, that's 512 million shares. 512 million, there's only like 450, right? But that's just the first set of people based on 1,000. I don't know how accurate this stuff is, but let's just look at this crazy number. I'm gonna jump straight ahead. So 10%, we have 3.2 million people. 10% would be 320,000 people, right? Well, 320,000 people, they supposedly own more than 5,000 shares if you base it on the 10% factor. So 320,000 people, if they own more than 5,000 shares, which I do, I own almost 5,000. So I mean, the possibility of 320,000 people out there owning 5,000, I think is highly possible. But let's just look, times 5,000, if we just go with the 5,000 number, it can't even calculate. It's like 1.6 billion. 1.6 billion. So just in the first category and the last category of people, that's 1.6 billion. 12 possibility of 512 million shares if we're using just the 1 to 500 range, 35% of people, right? Now, if we use the last one, which was 10% of 3.2 million people, that's 320,000. Like we just did the math, based on even 5,000 shares at the minimum, that's still 1.6 billion shares. When there's only, I keep saying 450, there's an exact number, 460 or whatever it is. I probably got that inaccurate. I'm just saying different numbers. But anyway, regardless, that's just those two. So if you combine the two, we take 35% of the owners and we take 10% of the owners, 1.6 at a low scale, and we take the 512, that's 2 billion. Now, let's go do this. Let's have some fun here. Let me get over back to that calculator real quick. So we got another 30% that own up to 2,500, right? So another 1 million. Let's just call it 1 million people. I'm trying to be conservative. 1 million people own at least 2,500 shares. Can't even calculate it. 2.5 billion? I mean, I don't even want to do the math here. I had someone else do the math and try to look at it. But I'm like, come on. On a low side, we're 1 billion, 1.6 billion. On a high side, we could be 7 billion. Like, I know it's just based off of 972 people on Twitter. But geez, if you know, these studies have been done, and you're looking at 972 people and the percentage that they own, yeah, some of them could be lying. But even a 10% factor, even a 20% factor, we're still talking way over what amount of shares they are. So yeah, I don't know if this is, you know, we can say this is proof, but God, look at that. Like, how many shares are out there? And why are we doing the recount? Why are they finding out? Something ain't happening. I don't want to use the word, people say effery, but something's going on out there, right? I mean, it's just evident. So I just used that 974 or whatever people that have voted, did the math, you saw it. This is why I'm in. Right here is a reason I'm in. Because if there's a lot of fake shares out there and that stuff's completely legit and we just busted them, we just caught them. Anyway, we just busted them and we just caught them. Like, that's a whole lot of fake shares. Is that even legal? Like, how are they getting away with that? That's crazy. So if that's the case, that mess has got to get cleaned up. Because it's only getting worse. That's the way I look at it. And if it's got to get cleaned up and people got to do something about it, they're going to have to pay. Well, that's my theory in there, and I think that's a lot of folks' theory. And so I think looking at it more and more, I'm like, people are saying 100,000. Like, that's insane. If I do those numbers, I told my wife that's money we can't even spend, right? I mean, at 1,000, that's money we can spend, but man, God, you know, 2,000, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000. I mean, we're creating some crazy floors, but I don't know that it's crazy anymore. I don't even know. You know, somebody said in a video once that there could be a guy out there that gets $430 million for one share. Well, I guess the way it sounds, if this triggers, they're going to have to pay, right? They're going to have to pay it. That's what the insurance is for. So unless something comes in, I don't know. I don't even want to speak upon it because I have no clue. All I know is based on those factors, number one, I was talking about how many military folks in on it. It's huge. If my military folks are in on it and I got almost 1 million of them or 900,000 or 700,000 military, I'm in with them too, okay? Because there was like 250,000 Marines or 272,000 Marines when I was in, the few, the proud. So if there's that many military folks, from my Army to my Navy to my Marines to my Air Force to my Coast Guard to all those folks, if there's that many, 900,000, and then there's 3.2 million apes, we're one heck of an army. We're one heck of a group of people, a group of fighters. I'm in on that for that reason right there. Okay, they can't be wrong. That's too many folks that can't be wrong to me. And then the second thing is those numbers. That's a lot of fake shares. It has to be. It just don't make no sense. Somebody please tell me how that's wrong. I don't get it. Because of that right there, I'm in. And last but not least, I'm in it because you know what? I want to win this. This is crazy. This is a crazy battle. I'm making history, so I'm in it for that reason right there. This is history-making event. Something's happening, and I don't like it. I don't like if these hedge funds are doing this. I don't like them making money off our backs when we're out there busting our butts. They're buying $50 billion yachts and $50 billion houses. Okay, that may be a little intense, insane, but why should they live that much higher? Why should they have that much better? Why? Because they know how to game the system? You know what? I was willing to fight for my country. I got injured. A lot of these vets were willing to die for their country. And what did we get? A $40,000 for 4 years? I think that's what I made, was $47,000 in 4 years as a sergeant. Right? What do we get? So, yeah, I'm in this fight. I'm in this fight for the regular person, the regular Joe, the regular, everybody, man. I think, you know what? There is a transfer of wealth that needs to happen, and I'm in it for that. I'm in it for every person out there, every ape. And that's coming straight from me and my heart. That's how I feel. Not financial advice, but this is how I feel and why I'm in this battle.